So, this is a continuation of the first, recorded lecture. Since I inadvertently have cut the recording for the first one. Um, so yun. So I believe I was on this part where I was trying to obtain the probability of event A and event B occurring. Okay, so again, yung event A is the probability where we will be able to get an even number when we toss a die. So 0.5 nga yung nalaman natin. Okay? And you can verify also that the probability of you getting an odd number when you toss an unbiased die is 0.5. Okay? So kung 0.5 ito, okay, and this is also 0.5. Okay, then the probability of A and probability of the probability of the union of A and B, okay, is the probability of A occurring plus the probability of B occurring. Okay, and this is only true because these are mutually exclusive events. Walang common between A and B. Okay, so doon nyo lang may apply itong statement na to. Okay, now, again, their sum would be equal to 1. Okay, now, again, I would like you to take note that the union of events A and B is actually the sample space S. Again, pag sinabi nyo namang union, okay, when you say union, it lists, okay, the sample space or the elements. Sorry, it lists the elements in A or B or both. Okay? So, yung elements ng A saka yung elements ng B at saka kung merong common sa kanilang dalawa, ililista natin sa isang set kapag kinuha natin yung union ng set A at saka ng set B. Okay? So, in this case, again, ang event A ninyo would contain the elements 2, 4, and 6. Okay? And yung element B ninyo would contain 1, 3, and 5. Okay? So, therefore, yung union yan, okay, are the elements na makikita nyo sa A at saka sa B. Or yung pareho sila. So, in this case, yun nga yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which, kung titignan nyo, this is actually your entire sample space. Okay? So, in this case, ayun nga, yung union ng A at B is actually your sample space. This is for tossing of a die. Okay? So, ngayon, makikita nyo rin na yung probability of your sample, the probability of the elements in your sample space occurring is actually equal to 1. Kasi nga, nakita na natin yan dito, okay, na yung sum of probabilities nung mga elements, okay, na i-assign natin sa bawat element nung sample space natin should be equal to 1. So, ito yung probability of elements in your sample space occurring. Okay? So, kaya dito, sa tossing of a die, okay, the probability of the elements of the sample space occurring is equal to 1. Mag-verify natin siya dito. Okay, so, again, itong definition na to, okay, these definitions are consistent with definition 2.9 natin. Okay, now, let's take a look at some of the examples. Okay. Okay, so, a coin is tossed twice. Okay, so a coin is tossed twice. So, what is the probability that at least one head occurs? Okay, so, again, kung i-review natin yung pagkuha ng sample space para sa isang experiment, okay, pwede tayong gumamit ng tree diagram. Okay, so, kung twice yung itotoss ang isang coin, okay, then sa unang toss, it's either a head or a tail ang lalabas. Then sa pangalawang toss, kung head na yung lumabas, pwedeng ang lalabas ulit ay head o kaya tail pagkatapos ng unang head. Okay? O kaya, pwede rin naman tail siya sa una, okay, and then head siya sa pangalawa, or pwede rin tail naman sa pangalawa. Okay? So therefore, yung elements ng sample space natin would be 2 heads occurring Okay? O kaya isang head, isang tail, first head, then tail. Okay? Pwede rin namang tail, then head. Okay? Then pwede ring tail, then tail. So, ito na nga yung sample space natin. Okay? Now, what we are asked to find is the probability that at least one head occurs. Okay? So, pwede natin ilista yung event A na yon. Okay? Pwede natin ilista yung event A na yon to be to be to be the event where at least one head would occur sa ating toss. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kukuha tayo ng subset nitong sample space ninyo. Okay? Kung saan yung isa doon, at least isa doon, dapat head yung outcome. So, ito, isasama natin to kasi dalawang head yan eh. Ang natin is at least one head. So, isasama natin yung dalawang heads. Okay, ito isasama natin to. Okay, kasi isa dyan head. Okay. Okay, and then, isasama natin to kasi again, yung isa dyan head. Pero yung pang-apat, hindi natin isasama kasi walang head na nangyari dyan. So, yun. So, this is the event A now that we are looking for. Okay? That we are trying to find. Ngayon, ang kailangan natin dyan is yung probability of A occurring. Okay? So, ang tanong ngayon is ano yung probability na yan? Masasagot natin yung probability na yan if we know the probability of head-head. Okay? The probability of head then tail. Okay? And the probability of tail then head. Kasi ang gagawin lang naman natin dyan, simply, i-add natin siya. Okay? Doon natin makukuha yung probability of A occurring. Okay? So, ngayon, paano natin makukuha yun? Babalik tayo din sa sample space. Kasi kailangan din natin kasi malaman kung ano yung probabilities na naka-assign sa bawat outcome ng sample space niyo o sa bawat elements ng sample space niyo. Okay? So, paano natin pwede siyang gawin? Okay? Or paano siya pwedeng hanapin? Okay. Unang-una, pwede niyo siyang gawin dito sa Pwede niyo siyang gawin dito sa tree diagram. Okay? So, paano niyo siya gagawin sa tree diagram? If your coin is unbiased, or ito, ang term na ginamit niya dito is balance. Okay? Yung pag-occur ng head at saka ng tail is 50-50. Nakuha natin yan kanina dun sa previous discussion natin. Okay? So 50% head 50% ang probability na lalabas ay head at 50% ang lalabas ay tail. Okay? So pwede niyo gawin yan dito sa tree diagram niyo. Pwede niyo itong lagyan ng 0.5 representing the probability that the head will occur. And another 0.5 here representing the probability that the tail will occur. Okay? Now, dito rin, you can assign 0.5 here. Okay, and then 0.5 here. Representing yung head ay lalabas, representing yung tail ay lalabas. Probability na yung head ay lalabas, probability yung tail ay lalabas. Okay, so 0.5 din dito, and then 0.5 din dito. Now, how would you get the probabilities for each? Ang gagawin natin dito is this. Okay. Again, pagkukunin ito from the tree diagram. Halimbawa ito, yung probability na yan is actually the product of the probabilities nung pinanggalingan niya. Okay? So, which means na yung probability of head and head occurring is 0.5 times 0.5. So, that should be 0.25. Okay? So, yung probability na yung head and tail would occur is, again, ita-trace natin siya, 0.5 dito, plus times 0.5 dito. So, yung probability na yung head at saka tail ay lalabas is, again, 0.5 times 0.5 for 0.25. Now, it would be easy to verify na yung probability ng tail at saka head na lalabas ay 0.25 din. Okay? And yung probability na parehong tail yung lalabas is also 0.25. Okay? That's one way. Okay? Actually, useful ito kapag meron kayong mga compound problems like this one. Dalawang coins yung tinos or meron kayong dalawang successive experiments na gagawin and so on. Okay? So, pag meron na kayong tree diagram in order for you to list the sample space, then it would be also easy for you to actually get the probability of each. Okay? Now, another way of getting the probabilities of each of these elements is this. Okay? So, again, ililista natin muna dito yung sample space. This is head, 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 tail, tail, head, and tail, tail. Okay? Now, since yung coin nga ay biased, I mean balanced or unbiased, okay? Yung probability of each of these elements, the probability of each of these elements occurring, okay, must be equal. So, kung equal yan, sabihin natin x. X ito, x yung probability na head-head, x yung probability na head-tail, x yung tail then head, then yung x yung probability ng tail and tail. And again, yung probability na yan, okay, pag in-add nyo, okay, should equal 1. Okay? So from there, we will have 4x equals 1. Okay? And therefore, x equals 0.25. So which means, na yung, again, yung probability ng head then head na lalabas ay 0.25. The probability of head and tail occurring is also 0.25. Okay? The probability of tail and head occurring is 0.25. And the probability of tail and tail occurring is also 0.25. So, same results naman yung nakuha natin with this one. Okay? So, now, ngayon alam na natin yung probabilities ng elements ng sample space nyo. Tsaka tayo pumunta dun sa A. Okay? So, dun sa A, sa event A natin, ito yung tatlong elements niya. Okay? So, in which, alam natin ngayon na yung probability of head-head occurring is 0.25. Okay? Yung probability of head and tail occurring is 0.25. And yung probability of tail and head occurring is 0.25. So therefore, yung probability of this event occurring, that is at least one head would occur, okay, is the sum of these probabilities, which should give us 0.75 as the probability of your A occurring. Ito nga yung 3/4. Okay? So that's for that example. Okay, next example tayo. So a die is loaded in such a way that an even number is twice as likely to occur as an odd number. So ito, we now have a case of a die that is not balanced or that is biased. Okay? So loaded daw yung die natin, okay, such that some of the outcomes is likely to occur more than the other outcomes. So yan yung case ng unbiased, biased experiment natin. Okay? So, continuing with the rest of the problem, if E is the event that a number less than 4 occurs, okay, on a single toss of the die, okay, find the probability of the event E occurring. Okay, so ganito muna. Magsimula na tayo again, sa sample space S. Okay, simulan natin sa sample space S. Again, kahit na loaded die yan, 6 pa rin yung lalabas dyan. Isa sa 6 na numbers pa rin ang lalabas dyan. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So, ayan. Ngayon, ito lang yung pinagkaiba niya ngayon. Sa bagay, bago pala yun. Okay. Now, let us define the event E muna. Okay? And ano nga yung event E? Event E is the event that a number less than 4, okay, occurs on the single toss of the die. So, ibig sabihin, yung event E natin is yung subset nito that is less than 4. So, anong mga elements yun? That would be element 1, 2, and 3. Yan yung mga elements na less than 4 dito sa sample space natin. Okay? So, ayan. So, again, madaling makita dito na yung probability of E, okay, is simply the sum of the probability of 1 occurring plus the probability of 2 occurring plus the probability of 3 occurring. Okay? So, madali siya makita sa ganong scenario. Okay? Pero ito kasi yung unang problema natin. Ano yung probability of 1 occurring? Ano yung probability of 2 occurring? Ano yung probability of 3 occurring? So, publican natin ngayon yung sample space natin para malaman natin yung sagot dun sa tatlong probabilities na yan. Okay. So, again, hindi equal yung occurrences nito, yung probabilities of occurrences nito. Ang sabi niya, even numbers, okay, is twice as likely to occur as odd numbers. Okay? So, for example, kung ang ating kung ang probability, okay, na ang odd numbers natin ay 1, 3, at saka 5. Okay? Kung yung probability ng mga yan, ng mga elements na yan, is assigned to be x, each siya. Okay? Ibig sabihin yung probability of 1 occurring, probability of 2 occurring, 3 occurring, and probability of 5 occurring are all x's. Okay? Then, para ma-satisfy natin yung bias ng die ninyo, we will have to assign the probability of 2x. Okay? For those even numbers. Okay? So, 2x para sa 2, 2x para sa 4, and 2x para sa 6. Kasi nga, twice daw yung mga even numbers than the odd numbers. Okay? Now, from this point, again, pag inad natin itong mga to, yung mga probabilities na yan. Again, these are all probabilities yung sinunod sa ilalim. These are all probabilities. Okay? This should equal to 1. Okay? So, kahit na may loading yung die niyo, kahit merong bias yung die niyo. Okay? Again, yung probabilities pa rin ng elements niya. Okay, dun sa loob na nalalabas is still 1. Okay? So, solving for x here, we will have 6 this is 1 this is x 3x 4 6 7 9 9x. So, this is 9x equals 1. So, therefore, x equals 1, 9. Okay? So, ano yung probability distribution ngayon ng mga elements ninyo dun sa sample space niyo? Yung probability of 1 occurring, okay, is 1, 9. Okay? Yung probability of 2 occurring is twice nito. Twice nung x eh. So, this should be 2 ninths. Okay? Yung probability of 3 occurring should be 1 ninth kasi x din siya. Yung probability of 4 occurring is 2 ninths. Yung probability of 5 occurring is 1 ninth. And yung probability of 6 occurring is 2 ninths. So, yun yung kompletong probability distribution ng loaded dice ninyo. Okay? But again, answering the question for the event E. Okay? Kailangan natin yung probability para sa 1, 2, tsaka sa 3. Okay? So, this would be para sa probability of 1 occurring, that's 1 ninth. Okay? For the 2 coming out of your die is 2 ninths. Okay? And then, the probability of 3 occurring in your toss of die is 1 ninth. Okay? So, ngayon, i-add natin siya. The probability now of the event E occurring is 4 over 9. Yun. Okay? So, again, doon natin makukuha yung mga probabilities natin. Ginagamit lang natin dito yung definition definition of ng probability of an event. Okay, definition 2.9. Yan pala yung ginagamit natin. Okay? Next example. So, from example 2.25, which is this one. Okay. Let A be the event that an even number turns up. Okay? So, ayun. Take note natin siya. That A, okay, even number turns up. Okay? And event B, okay, be the event that a number divisible by 3 occurs. Okay? So, yun. So, pinapanap sa atin yung probability of the union of events A and B. Okay? And the probability of the intersection of events A and B. Okay? So, ganito muna. Lista muna natin yung elements nung event A. So, again, babalikan natin mamaya yung distribution ng probability dun sa sample space natin kasi yun pa rin yung gagamit natin dahil nakabase pa rin tayo sa example 2.25. Okay. So, list natin yung events A. Yung elements ng events A. So, here, A is an event na even number occurring. So, that would be 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Tapos, yung event B, okay, is the number divisible by 3. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ano yung mga numbers doon na divisible by 3? So, it seems na 3 at saka 6 lang naman yun. Okay? So, ngayon, una, can we consider A and B to be mutually exclusive events? Okay? Mako-consider ba natin na yung A at saka B, events A at saka B to be mutually exclusive events? Okay, so lagyan natin ito. Is event A and event B mutually exclusive? Okay? So, para masasagot yun, hanapin natin kung merong common kay A at saka kay B. Okay? So, in this case, may common bang elements kay A at saka B? So, in this case, makikita nyo na meron siyang common, which is itong 6. Common sa kanya pareho yan. Okay? So, lalabas ngayon dito, yung common between A and B is 6. Okay? Yung intersection ng set A at set B is the number 6. So, since hindi to empty set, okay, that is not an empty set or not a null set, okay, A and B are not, okay, not mutually exclusive. Again, ang requirement ng pagiging mutually exclusive ng dalawang events is that dapat wala silang common events or common elements doon sa sample space nila. Okay? So, since meron tayong nakitang common sa kanilang dalawa, hindi sila mutually exclusive event. Okay? So, bakit ko sinagot yung tanong na yan? Okay, bago ko sagutin yung eksaktong tanong ng problem. Pinapahanap kasi sa atin yung probability ng we are being asked for the probability of the union of A and B. Okay? Tinatanong sa atin yung probability of the union of A and B. Yan yung isang question. Okay? Ito. Now, you might be tempted to use, okay, yung definition 2.9 para dito. Okay? So, you might be tempted to use yung definition ng 2.9 para dito, which is the probability of A plus the probability of B. Okay? Pero, tatandaan nyo na ito ay magagamit nyo lang if, okay, if, at malaking if ito, A and B are mutually exclusive events. Magagamit nyo yung definition na yan kapag mutually exclusive event yung events A at saka B. Okay? Pag hindi sila mutually exclusive, yung definition natin magiging ganito. The probability of the union of A and B occurring is the probability of A occurring plus the probability of B occurring minus, okay, the probability of the common elements between A and B. So, ibabawas natin yung common elements sa kanila. Okay? Mamaya makikita nyo yan kung bakit. Okay? So, yun. So, titingnan nyo, kung gagamitin nyo itong mga definitions na to sa paghahanap ng mga probabilities, make sure na nasasatisfy nyo yung mga conditions na ini-specify nung mga definitions. Kasi baka mamaya, meron kayong mga na-overlook. Okay? So, ayun. Doon tayo sa part na sasagutin ko na talaga yung tanong nung ano. Okay. So, madali lang naman to if we just simply get the union of A and B. Okay? Which in this case, listen natin yung elements ng A at saka B. Okay? So, that would be in order 2, 3, 4, and 6. Okay? So, yan yung union ng A at saka ng B. Okay. So, now, in this case, yung probability ngayon ng 2 occurring, okay, galing dun sa previous example, this is 2/9, okay, while itong 3 is 1/9, yung 4 is 2/9, okay, tapos yung 6 is 1/9. So, therefore, yung probability nung probability nung union ng A at saka B occurring is yung sum nito, which is 2 over 9 plus 1 over 9, 1 over 9 plus 2 over 9 plus 1 over 9. So that gives us 4, 5, 6. 6 over 9 or 2 over 3. Tama ba? Times 3 times 3. Okay. So 2 over 3. Okay. Ngayon, tingnan nyo kung ginamit nyo to. Okay. Kung ginamit nyo yan. Okay. In this case, pag tingnan nyo kung ano yung probability of A occurring, this is 2 over 9, 2 over 9, 2 over 9. Okay. So yung probability of A occurring, okay, from there, is 6 over 9 or 2/3. Okay. While yung probability of 3 occurring, okay, I mean B occurring, okay, is this is 1 over 9 and this is 2 over 9. So this should give us 3 over 9 or 1/3. Okay? May na-overlook pala yata na ako dito. Ito. This is not, mali pala to. Dapat pala 2 over 9 to. This should be 2 over 9. So dapat ito 2 over 9 din to. So that should give us 7 over 9 here. Ayan. Sorry. This should give us 7 over 9 here. Okay? So, yun. Now, going back here. Okay, again, isi-check itong formula na to ha. So, yung probability of A occurring, okay, is 2 over 9, 2 over 9, 2 over 9. So, that would be 6 over 9. Tapos, yung probability of B occurring, event B occurring, is 1/9 at saka 2 over 9. So, that gives us 3 over 9 or 1/3. So, pag inat nyo yan simply, dahil sa definition 2.9, okay, ang ibibigay niya sa inyo is 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3 equals 1. Ibig sabihin niya na yung lahat ng space niyo, sample space niyo, which is incorrect. Okay? Again, kaya siya naging incorrect because A and B are not mutually exclusive events. Okay? Ulit natin, A and B are not mutually exclusive events. So therefore, hindi ito yung definition nung nagagamitin natin. Ang gagamitin natin is ito. So ibig sabihin, para mahanap natin yung probability na yan is bukod sa i-add natin yung probability ng A, which is 2/3, at saka yung B, which is 1/3, kailangan natin i-subtract pa. Okay? Yung probability na nung common element sa kanila. Okay? Again, ang common na element sa kanila ay 6. Okay? Na merong probability na 2/9. So, which means 2/3 plus 1/3 minus 2 over 9. Okay? That should give us 6, 9 kasi to. This is 3, 9. So, 6 plus 3, 9 minus 2. That's 7 over 9. Yun. Nakuha natin yung parehong sagot dito sa sa original na, sa first solution natin. Okay? So, yun. Tingnan nyo mabuti kung yung event niyo ay mutually exclusive or not. Okay? So, there. Now, so, we now settle to the fact that the probability of the union of A and B, okay, is 7 over 9. Okay. Now, yung pangalawang question is the probability of the intersection ng A at B. Yung common sa kanilang dalawa. Okay. And nalaman na nga natin na yung common sa kanilang dalawa is the outcome 6 or is the element 6, which has an assigned probability of 2 over 9. So, ayan. Ay, sorry. Mali. Okay. Again, ang assigned probability niya sa 6 ay 2 over 9. So, therefore, yung probability of A intersection B occurring is 2 over 9. So, sagot natin dyan is 7 over 9 para dito. Okay. And 2 over 9 para dito. So, ito yun. 7 over 9 and 2 over 9. Okay? Now, let's talk the scenario where you would have a sample space. Okay, you would have a sample space having n elements. Okay, all of which are equally likely to occur. So, equal probability scenario tayo. Okay? Now, what do we do with that? Okay, what do we do with that? Kung meron kayong sample space na ganyan yung scenario, na merong n elements, then we simply assign a probability equal to 1 over n. Okay? To each of the n points. Example nga dyan yung yung tossing of a coin. Okay? Na tossing of a biased coin na meron dalawang outcomes or dalawang elements. Okay? So, since yung number of elements nito ay 2, mag-a-assign tayo ng 1 over n as a probability of for each of the elements. So, 1 over n is 2. So, this is 1 over n, 1 half, then 1 half. Okay? Ganun din sa unbiased na die. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, this sample space has 6 elements. And kung equally occurring yung mga elements na yan, okay, then we can assign, for example, for P1, we can assign 1 over n or 1 over 6 as its probability. Same thing with probability of 2 occurring as 1 over n or 1 over 6. And so on. Okay? So, yun. Now, the probability of any event A containing n, okay, of these n sample points is then the ratio of the number of elements in A to the number of elements in S. So, kung halimbawa naman na in the case of tossing of tossing of two coins, okay? So, parang itong previous example kanina na merong apat na elements, head then head then tail, tail then head, then tail then tail. Okay? So that's your sample space for that scenario. Again, ang number of elements nyo dyan ay 4. Okay? So, mag-a-assign tayo ng ng 1/4, 1 over n. 1/4 para sa mga elements na yan. Okay? Since they are equally occurring. Again, ang scenario dito is that we have equal probabilities for all elements. Equal probabilities for all elements of S. Okay. Now, dun sa example kanina, we are asked to find the probability of an event A, okay, where A is the event where at least one of the heads is the outcome. Okay? So, in this case, tatlo yung nailista nating elements ng A from that example. Yung head, then head, kasi at least may isang head dyan. So, actually, dalawa. Okay? Which is at least one. Okay? Then, ito naman, head then tail, then yung tail, then head. So, nakapaglista tayo ng tatlong elements dun sa probability ng, dun sa event A. So, ang sabi dito, sa rule na to, is that the probability of A occurring, okay, is the ratio small n over big N. So, that should give us 3 over 4. So, ito yung nakuha natin kanina, dun sa example natin. Okay? Or same thing dito. Okay, same thing dito. If we list A as an event that an even number would occur. Okay? So, that would be 2, 4, and 6. Okay? So, yung number of elements natin dyan is 3. Okay? So, since equal probabilities yan, we are under the scenario of equal probabilities. Then, the probability of event A is simply the ratio of small n to big N, which should be 3 over 6 or 1/2 or 0.5. Again, 50-50, pagka-even. Okay? So, ayan. Now, let's work on this example. Okay? Let's work on the following example. Okay. So, in this case, we have a statistics class for engineers consisting of 25 industrial engineering students, 10 mechanical engineering students, 10 electrical engineering students, and 8 civil engineering students. Okay? So, dyan lang muna tayo, no? Kung ililista nyo yung sample space para dyan, okay? Kung ililista nyo yung sample space para dyan, syempre, napaka-practical yan dahil ilan yan? 25, 10, 35, 45, 53 yan. Okay? Pero you can do it this way. Pwedeng yung industrial engineering students, pwedeng i-assign nyo as parang I1, I2, up to, since 25 siya, I25. So that, yun yung mga industrial engineering students mo. Okay? Then, yung mechanical engineering students mo can be assigned as M1, M2, hanggang M10. Okay? Same thing with electrical engineering students. E1, E2, hanggang E10. Okay, and then finally, meron kang 8 civil engineering students, so you'll have C1, C2, hanggang C10. Okay? So, yan yung buong sample space mo. Now, take note, again, that the number of your sample space or the number of elements in your sample space is, since meron kang, you have 25 industrial engineering students, okay, 25 na industrial engineering students, meron kang 10 mechanical engineering students, meron kang 10 electrical engineering students, and you have 10 civil engineering students. Then yung N mo, or yung number of elements niyan is 25 plus 10 plus 10 plus 8. So that should give us 53 nga as the number of your elements. Okay? So, ngayon, pwede nating hatiin to sa 4 na events. Okay? So, yung event I, okay, in which ang matatawag lang is yung mga industrial engineering students. So, the event I is the set of all the industrial engineering students. So, yan yung I1, I2, hanggang I25. Okay? Then, we can have mechanical engineering students. Okay? Yan yung M1, M2, hanggang M10. Okay? Then, yung event E ninyo, which consists of your electrical engineering students. So, you'll have E1, E2, hanggang E10. And then finally, yung civil engineering students natin will have C1, C2, up to C8. Okay, actually hindi naman kailangan ilista siya ng ganito. Kaya lang pinapakita ko lang yung yung sample space as a set at saka yung mga events as a set. Okay? Ang importante kasi actually dito is makukuha natin yung number nila. So, yung number of elements ng I, again, is 25. Yung number of elements ng event M is 10. Yung number of elements of event E is 10 also. And yung number of elements ng event C is 8. Okay? So, yan. Yun na naman yung actually gusto natin makuha dyan. Now, these are the questions. Or ito yung gagawin. If a person is randomly selected, okay, ang keyword dyan is randomly selected. When, more or less, when you randomly select a student out of a class and wala kang bias, okay, walang bias sa selection kasi nga random, okay, this should denote an unbiased selection. And that would lead to the scenario of equal probabilities. Kung paano gagawin yung random selection na yun is something that the instructor has to decide. Okay? Kasi kahit naman anong sabihin yung or gamiting method ni instructor when selecting students to answer, more or less may bias yan. Lalo na yung raising hands. May bias yan. Okay? Kahit kayo yung lumugar sa mga instructors, kapag nakita nyong nagtaas ng kamay yung mga students ninyo when you are asking a question, more or less ang una nyo talaga matatawag is yung mga nasa unahan. So there is a certain bias. Okay. So, pero in this case, basta pag sinabi nyo randomly selected, the selection process is unbiased. So therefore, we'll talk about equal probabilities. Okay. Now, the questions, find the probability that the student chosen to answer the question is an industrial engineering major. Okay. So for letter A, ang tinatanong natin para sa kanya, ang tinatanong para sa letter A is the probability of I occurring. Okay? And for letter B, okay, a civil engineering or an electrical engineering major. Okay. So, pagka ganyan, paano natin interpret yung or na statement na yan? Okay? Or statement in this context, okay, usually denotes union of sets. Kasi pag sabi yung or, pwedeng sa isang set o kaya sa isang set. Okay? So, yun yung implication ng paggamit ng or sa mga ganitong problems. Okay? So therefore, ang tinatanong niya dito sa letter B is the probability of event C or event E occurring. Yan. So these are the two questions na sasagutin natin. Okay? And again, if this is equal probabilities, okay? If this is the case of equal probabilities, we can use the rule of the probability of an event being of event A occurring is the ratio small n over big N. Okay? So, ayun. So, in this case, para masagot natin yung unang tanong, which is the probability that an industrial engineering major student will be called, then we can simply have the small n over big N ratio, which in this case is small ni over big N. So, here we have 25 over 53 as our probability for an industrial engineering major to be called to answer the question. While for B, okay, we will have the probability, okay, of either a civil engineering or an electrical engineering student. Okay? Ngayon, since union ito, no? Union ito ng dalawang sets. Kakunin natin yung probability of the union of two sets. Okay? Can we actually use yung definition 2.9? Okay? Para sabihin na simply, the probability of C plus the probability of E. Okay? So, can we use this one? Okay? From definition 2.9. Okay? So again, ang condition natin para mag-hold true yung nasa definition 2.9 is that, okay, dapat si C at saka si E is null set. Ibig sabihin, yung event C at saka si event E ay mutually exclusive. Okay? Now, obviously, kung ikaw estudyante ka at ikaw ay civil engineering major, hindi ka pwedeng maging electrical engineering major at the same time. Okay? And same thing, kung electrical engineering yung kinukuha mo, hindi ka pwedeng mag-civil engineering major at the same time. So therefore, there is no reason for us to believe na there is no reason for us to believe na walang common, okay, between this and this event and this event. So therefore, masasabi natin na itong dalawang events na to are mutually exclusive and therefore we can use this definition. Okay? Now from this, ang probability of your civil engineering major to be called is small nc over n. Okay? While the probability of your electrical engineering major to be called is the small ne over big N. Okay? So in this case, we will have 8 over 53 plus ito is 10 over 53. So that should give us the probability of the union of C and E. The probability of the instructor calling a civil engineering or an electrical engineering major student to be 18 over 53. So ito, this is our answer for letter B, and this one is our answer for letter A. So, yun. Ito, tsaka ito. Okay. Okay, so we continue on with this next example, which talks about the situation of dealing cards. Okay, so the problem reads, in a poker hand consisting of 5 cards. Okay, so pag binigyan ka sa game na poker, okay, bibigyan ka ng limang cards out of the standard deck of 52. Okay? So, what is being asked here is that what would be the probability of holding 2 aces and 3 jacks? So, sa poker, ang tawag doon ay pool. Sa pool of jacks. Okay? Dalawang same na cards tsaka tatlo. Okay? So that's high dealing na card na 'yon. Okay? Although hindi ako masyadong marunong magsugal. Okay. Now, what we would like to know here is again, ano yung probability na out of the 5 cards na meron ka. Okay? Meron ka doon na dalawang aces at saka tatlong jacks. Okay? So, what we would like to know here, okay, is ilan yung ways, kasi bago nyo malaman kasi yung probability, okay, bago nyo malaman yung probability, and again, this is a case of equal probabilities, okay, so which means na ang kailangan yung malaman dito, okay, is una, yung big N, okay, which is the number of ways of getting 5 cards out of 52. Yun yung isa. Okay? Tapos, yung isa naman is yung small n natin, which talks about yung getting 2 aces. Sabihin natin yun yung event A, no? So, let's have, para masana siya. Yung event A talks about getting 2 aces. Okay? Tapos, event B, getting 3 jacks. Okay? So, yun. So, kailangan natin malaman is kung ilang possible number of ways of we can get 2 aces. Okay? Out of ilang aces. Okay? Ilan ba ang aces meron sa isang standard deck of cards? So, 4. So, that means that yung small a natin means the number of ways of getting 2 aces out of 4. Okay? Tapos yung isa naman, yung event B natin. Okay, our event B, okay, getting 3 jacks is, let's denote as a small MB. Okay, is the number of ways of getting 3 jacks out of 4. Okay? So, ayan. Ngayon, we also have to be aware. Okay, we also have to be aware na itong dalawang events na to should happen at the same time. Kailangan mangyari sila na sabay. Okay? Or mangyari sila in hindi naman sabay, pero yung in succession. Okay? And in that case, yun yung kailangan natin na para kang nag-toss ng dalawang ng coin ng twice. Okay? So titingnan mo ngayon kung ano yung magiging outcome sa una, ano yung outcome sa pangalawa. Dito naman, ang parang system nito is that sa una, pag magdi-deal ka ng cards, yung unang i-deal mo, 2 aces. Tapos sa pangalawa, parang ganito. 5 cards ang kukunin mo, no? So, parang sa una, ang unang i-deal mo dapat ace. Okay, sa pangalawa, dapat ace ulit. Tapos sa pangatlo, jack. Sa pang-apat, jack. Tapos sa panlima, jack. Okay? So, ganyan yung arrangement doon. Although, hindi naman kailangan na ganyan yung exact order. Okay? That's one possible order. Pero, ganyan yung system. Okay? So, which means, pagka ganito yung situation natin, then yung number of ways para makuha natin dyan is actually by multiplication. Tama? This is where the multiplication rule applies sa counting. Okay? So, which means, ito, pwede natin i-treat ito as one independent na experiment. Okay? And then this is another experiment. Okay? So ngayon, diyan natin kukunin yung diyan natin ilalagay yung number of ways that we will get 2 aces. Ito naman yung number of ways that we will get 3 jacks. Okay? So yung number of ways of getting this arrangement or getting this specific cards, okay, out of the 5 is known to be NA times NB. Okay, by multiplication rule. Multiplication rule of counting. Okay? So, ayan. Ngayon ang tanong na lang is, paano natin alamin yung tatlo na yan? Yung N, yung big N, okay? Yung small NA, tsaka small NB. Kasi may operation na tayo eh. Mangyayari niya kasi ganito. The probability, let's have, yun. Let's have the event C na lang para medyo convenient yung notation natin. The event C of getting 2A and 3 jacks. Okay? Actually, sa set notation, that should be the intersection of A and B. Okay? Yung event A na yun, tsaka event B na yun, yung common sa kanilang dalawa kasi yung event A should give you out of 5 cards, dapat dalawa doon aces. Okay? Tapos yung event B doon, 3 jacks. Okay? So yung intersection nila, that should be event C. Pero let's just use C as a notation. So since equal probabilities ito, we know that the probability of C, okay, is yung probability of A is yung small NA times small NB over big N. Okay? So, ang tanong na lang dyan, paano natin alamin yung small NA, small NB, tsaka big N? Okay. So, again, recall natin, NA is the number of ways of getting 2 aces out of 4. Okay? So, sa counting techniques niyo, okay, kung napag-aralan niyo siya ng napag-aralan niyo siya before, okay, meron kayo dong dalawa sa mga counting techniques na pinag-aralan niyo doon should have been permutation. Let's use a different color. Should have been permutation. So, 2 of many counting techniques. This is under to ng lesson 2.3. Under to ng lesson 2.3. Okay, mabasa niyo siya dyan. Okay. So, this is lesson 2.3. Okay. So, 2 of the many counting techniques that you should have been able to study is one is yung permutation. Okay. Permutation of R objects out of N objects. Okay? And then, meron din kayo tinatawag na combination of R objects out of N objects. Okay. So, tapos yung permutation, maraming iba't ibang klase like circular permutation, cell-based permutation and so on. Okay. Pero simply put, itong dalawang to, ginagamit natin to as counting techniques kapag pipili tayo ng certain number of objects out of maraming pagpipilian. Okay? For example, kung meron kang say 10 libro ng science, okay? At gusto mong malaman kung ilang ways mo pwedeng piliin yung tatlo out of those 10, then you can either use permutation or combination to count those ways. Okay? Ang pinagkaiba lang niyang dalawa is ito. Ito lang yung basic na pinagkaiba nila. Ang permutation takes the order of the objects into account. Ibig sabihin, pag permutation ang gagamitin mo, merong specific order yung pagpili mo. Yung pagpili mo ng R objects out of N, merong specific na order kang gagawin. Okay? So, yun yung permutation. Okay? Ang combination, walang regard. Okay? So, it does not take the order, okay, of the objects into account. So, ayun. Parang ganito. So, sabi natin, halimbawa, yung problem nyo, meron kayong 10 libro. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number natin siya as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, kung pipili ka ng tatlo out of that 10 books, okay? Kung para sa'yo, yung choice na book 1, book 2, at saka book 3, okay, iba. Okay? Kung ang pipiliin mo ay, say, for example, book 2, book 3, at saka book 1. Tandaan nyo, kung papansin nyo, pareho lang ng laman yan. Pareho lang kayo ng pinili. Okay? So, both of these sets contains the books 1, 2, and 3. Magkakaibang order lang. Okay? So, same set of books, but different order. Okay? So, kung yung ganyang scenario sa inyo, magkaibang bilang, ibig sabihin, isang way na to, tas pangalawang way na to, para sa inyo. Okay? In that case, you will use permutation. Use permutation to count, okay, the number of ways. Pagka magkaiba sa inyo yan. Okay? Pero in the case of, say for example, ganun din, pipili kayo ng libro, 1, 2, 3. Tapos, yung other option is 2, 3, and then 1. Pero, para sa inyo, isang lang yan. Okay, isang bilang lang yan. Kasi, again, this is the same set of books. Okay, so kaya isang bilang lang sa inyo yan. Then in that case, use combination to count the number of ways. Okay? So, yan yung pagkakaiba ng combination tsaka ng permutation, basically. So, permutation takes the order, okay, of the choice into account, while the combination does not look into the order. Ang titignan lang niya is kung ano yung pinili mo. Okay? So, in that case, may formula tayo na ginagamit for each one. Okay? So, for permutation, yung ganyang permutation this is simply denoted as n permutation R. Okay? So, R is the number of objects that you will choose, okay, out of n. So this is the total number of objects. In which you would be asked to choose R out of those n. Okay? So in that case, that NPR or that n permutation R is n factorial over n minus R factorial. Okay? So yan yung isang counting technique natin. Okay? Yung combination naman is denoted by sa calculator nyo kasi, that's NCR. That's N combination R. Okay? Pero sa libro, okay, sa libro kasi, this combination is denoted using this notation. Naka-parenthesis siya, tapos merong number na dalawa sa loob ng parenthesis. Yung nasa taas, yun yung N, yung nasa baba, yun yung R. But in this case, okay, yung formula na yan, okay, is so this is n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. Okay? So, actually ang combination is actually a naka-base din actually siya sa permutation. Pero ito din tawag na cell-based na permutation. Ang titingnan mo kasi dito is yung number of ways that you are to that you can arrange the entire set of objects. And then ibawas mo sa kanya, okay, yung number of ways. Okay, ibawas means kasi i-divide mo 'to eh. So para mababawas siya dun sa overall number of okay, or ibababa niya yung number of ways na yun by kasi pipili ka ng certain number out of n. So out of n pipili ka ng r. Now ito yung r objects you would choose. So that means yung n minus r, ito yung not chosen. Ito yung hindi pipiliin. Okay? Out of those n. So, ito yung cell na pipiliin, ito yung cell na hindi pipiliin. So, parang basically, permutation din siya. So, parang dito, kung meron kang 10 libro, at 3 doon pipiliin mo, meron kang 7 hindi mapipili. Okay? So, titingnan mo yung, number of ways that you can choose 3. Okay? And then, titingnan mo kung ilang ways yung 7 hindi mo mapipili. Okay? Tapos, i-account mo siya dun sa combination natin. Okay, so again, kapag ang situation nyo seems like wala namang problema sa order, combination ang gagamitin natin. Again, you can use permutation or combination if you are to choose, okay, if you have to choose, or if you have to count the number of ways that you can count the number of ways you can choose R objects out of n objects. So kung pipili kayo ng certain number of objects galing sa mga pagpipilian, okay, the number of ways to do that, to count the number of ways to choose that, okay, is to either use permutation or combination. So kapag merong connotation or may context yung problem that it states na merong kailangang i-regard yung order, use permutation. But kung wala naman, use combination. Okay. So in this case, punta tayo sa barahan, no? Okay. Since merong apat na aces sa isang standard deck of cards. Okay. At pipili ka lang ng dalawa doon. You would choose 2 out of the 4. Kasi 2 aces eh. So, ito yung isang ace mo. Ito yung isang ace. Iba-iba lang yung niyan, yung suit niyan. Okay, pero ito yung dalawang pipiliin mo. Regardless naman din kung anong kulay niya, whether it's a red card or a black card. Okay. So here, you would choose 2 out of 4. Eh since wala naman siyang regard or wala naman siyang pakialam kung ano yung makukuha mo dun sa dalawa na yun. Basta makakuha ka ng dalawa. Okay. This seems to be a combination or this seems to allow us to use the combination formula. Okay? So which means we can count yung number of ways of getting two aces of event A occurring by 4 combination 2. That is, pipili ka ng dalawang objects out of 4 possible choices. So pag kinumpute natin yan, actually nasa calculator nyo naman to, kung may calculator pa kayo. Okay. So here in my calculator, dito siya sa taas ng divide operation. So I can just simply type 4 combination 2. Yan. So that should give me 6. So ibig sabihin, there are 6 ways that I can choose 2 aces out of 4 possible options. So 6 ito. Okay? So in the case naman of jack, okay? So again, may 4 na jacks tayo. Okay, so jack, 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 jack. Ipili tayo ng 3 out of those 3. Out of those 4. So we'll have to choose 3 out of 4 possible options. Okay? So again, mukha namang wala siyang pakialam kung alin yung mapipili natin diyan, basta makakuha tayong 3 jack. Okay? So we can have the number the small n for event B to be 4 combination 3. Okay? So this would be 4 combination 3. This should give us 4. Okay? So, ayun. So, nakuha natin yung small n at saka small b. Okay? Now, paano yung big N? Okay? Actually, pwede nyo kunin siya sa ganung logic. Sa ganitong logic. Okay? Kaya lang, in this case, since you are using a standard deck of cards, meron kayong 52 na pagpipilian. Okay? So, meron kayong 52 na pagpipilian. So, 52 lahat yan. Teka, mag-flip tayo isa. Kasi, 5 yung pipiliin ko dyan. So, kailangan at least 5 yun nandyan. Ayan. So, bali sa 52 na cards na yan, 52 na. Sa 52 cards na yan, 5 yung pipiliin mo. You would have to draw 5. Okay? Yun kasing standard na sa poker game. 5 yung ibibigay sa yung 5 yung i-draw mong cards. Okay? So here, the problem is to choose 5 out of 52. Okay? So, to find n, the big N, okay, this is simply 52 combination of 5. Okay? Which, pag in-evaluate natin, that should give us, sana kaya ng calculator, 52 combination 5. That should give us yun, 2,598,000. 2,598,960. Okay? So, ngayon, nalaman na natin yung yung small NA natin, small NB natin, tsaka big N natin. So, we can now compute for the probability of C, which gives us, again, nakuha natin ito using the product or the multiplication rule ng counting techniques, wherein consider natin yung pagkuha ng 2 aces at saka 3 cards, 3 jacks to be separate experiments. Okay? So, ayun. So we will have 6 ways para sa small NA, 4 ways para sa small NB. Then we will have 2,598,960. Okay? Which, pag ni-ratio natin, okay, should give us times 6 times 4. That should give us, yan, 9.23 times 10 raised to negative 6. Okay. So, ito yung probability na makakakuha ka ng pull the jack sa isang poker card. So, Parang hindi yung eksaktong ano to hindi to yung eksaktong scientific ano dito Pero ito yung parang pinakamadaling way para intindihin siya. Kailangan mo maglaro ng 108,000 at least para at least makakuha ka ng isang gantong set of cards sa isang poker game. Okay? So, sa 108 times na yan na maglalaro ka, at least may isa na dyan lalabas yung poker ano mo. Yung cards na to. Dalawang aces tsaka tatlong jack. Okay. And although hindi naman high suit kasi ang full the jack So, ibig sabihin, maganda ang chances mo na manalo kapag yun yung hawak mong kumparaha. Okay. Pero again, hindi ko kayo natutuwa magsugal. So, ayun. Now, as final notes sa ating lesson sa probability. Okay. Yung tingin natin scenario kasi kanina in the previous example are experiments experiments that tend to become equal probability scenario. Okay. So, paano kung yung ating ay hindi equal? Okay. If we have some kind of prior knowledge na yung magiging outcome ng experiment mo are not equally likely to occur. Okay? So, how are probabilities assigned? Okay? So, katulad ng ginawa natin kanina, okay, dun sa dice, na kung saan nasabi natin na kung ito yung sample space ng dice, we have known na 2, 4, and 6 would occur twice as likely as 5, 3, and 1. So, meron tayong prior knowledge of even numbers occurring twice as often as odd numbers. And prior knowledge means historical data. Okay, it means historical data. So, ibig sabihin nun, kailangan natin tingnan yung history nung roll nung dice. Nung outcomes nung pag-roll ng die. Then from there, i-evaluate natin kung gaano ka-bias yung die ninyo. Okay. If we know that the die is actually loaded to be biased. Okay. So yun lang yung way natin para malaman kung yung probabilities if we are not really sure that the probabilities are or the elements of the sample space have equal probabilities of occurring. Okay. So, galing kasi doon, yung probability ngayon, manggagaling yung sa relative frequency. Relative frequency means the ratio of favorable outcome over all outcomes. Ibig sabihin, relative siya, depende kung ilang beses mong inulit yung experiment. Okay? So, parang kukuha ka ng for example, sa case na to, okay? Parang kukuha ka ng die, tapos itatabulate mo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I-roll mo siya ng 1,000 times, for example. Sa 1,000 times na yun, ilan yung A? For example, nakuha natin dyan na 200 siya. Yung 2, yung 1 pala is 200. Yung 2 is, sabi natin, 300. Yung 3 is, sabi natin, 100. Yung 4, 100. Sila na yan. 2, 5, 6, 7, to 150, to 150. Okay? So, yung relative frequency ngayon ito, that's 200 over 1,000. Or that's 0.2. Yan ngayon yung probability of 1 occurring. Yan yung i-assign natin kay 1. So, ibig sabihin, 1 has a 20% chance of occurring. So medyo bias nga to kasi ang 1/6 kasi is 17%. Okay? So according to this, kung ito yung historical data na nakuha ninyo sa pag ng DAI, okay, medyo bias nga siya towards 1 at saka 2 actually. Kasi sa 2, 300 over 1,000. So this is 0.3. Almost twice ito mag-o-occur kesa dun sa iba. Okay? So ayun. That's how we assign yung probabilities using relative frequencies. Okay? Another approach is yung indifference approach na tinatawag. Okay? So ayun no. And then so ayun, the determination of the probabilities is not exactly it's not exactly a simple process and it's not actually a deterministic one. Okay? Depende actually talaga yan sa maraming bagay. Okay? And in some cases na i-consider natin, we will consider equal probability scenario. Ibig sabihin, titingnan natin yung natin as random. Okay? Titingnan natin na random yung yung pagpili, for example, or yung pag-conduct ng experiment. So we will consider that experiment to have, or the outcomes of that, or the elements of that sample space to have equal probabilities of occurring. Okay. But in other cases, like for example, lalo na kung medyo real life ito, like for example, gusto nyo i-calculate kung ano yung odds of, say, Lakers winning the championship this year. Okay, so marami tayong kailangang i-account doon. Yung abilities ng player, yung current format ngayon na medyo kakaiba. Okay, may play-in tournament sila. Okay, which actually lowers the chance of say for example Lakers, kasi mababayaran ang ranking ng Lakers. It lowers their chance of actually making it to the actual playoffs. Okay, so yun. Marami tayong titingnan kapag yung probabilities ng natin ay talagang nasa real world scenario. Okay. So ayun, but in this lesson, I hope that you were able to learn kung ano yung mga rules. Okay, what are the basic rules of determining probabilities. Okay, so